Here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel, we need to bring you an update on a developing story on the South African Church of Pentecost, the TAP, where Ghana's High Commission in South Africa is now confirming to us that the deacon who has been kidnapped has now officially, as the sources are indicating to us, been released. Also, these are the pictures that we saw circulating and going viral on social media, where that deacon at the Church of Pentecost in South Africa was then attacked by some unknown gunmen, with the commission asking all Ghanaians resident in Johannesburg to be cautious out there. Well, fortunately, there's an update, even though the church says it will continue to pray and to fast for all Christians around the world. Today is also a significant point in the relations between the Republic of Ghana and South Africa, as the reciprocal visa waiver arrangement is taking effect today. And that's why we're fortunate to be joined now by Charles Owiredu, who is the Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, joining us in studio now. It's such a pleasure to be talking to you, sir. And Akwaba, you know, you've been busy moving up and down
after us meeting in South Africa. Was it this year?
Yes, this year, exactly.
The BRICS Summit,
the BRICS Summit, indeed. And I just disappeared. Now you're appearing before us again. But it's good news, first of all, to point out that now, at least, we found the deacon. How did that happen, first of all?
So, thank you. So, after that unfortunate news, we quickly had to activate, the processes of calming down Ghanaians. And then because a lot of Ghanaians were jittery, people were shaking, they wanted to find out what was happening. After us informing the foreign minister about the incident, normally that's what we are supposed to do. Yeah. I summoned my team, and then we decided to issue a statement. So if you saw that first statement that was issued, that statement was to allay the fears of Ghanaians, because we had made contact with the police, and then they had told us that they were on top of the game, they were on top of the issue, and that we should just calm down. So that notice sought to calm the nerves of Ghanaians. And then subsequently, we engaged the church authorities, meaning the leadership of the Pentecost Church in Johannesburg, and then also the family. Yesterday in the evening, we were there when we got wind from the police that they freed the victim, the deacon, and that he's been sent to his family. People are asking whether monies were paid, whether they, but then I tell them that that's none of my business.
Right.
I'm interested in securing the Ghanaian. So once the person is secured, whatever happened, I'm not privy to that information. So I cannot say anything to that.
But what official accounts were you given by South Africa's law enforcement agencies as to probably the identity of these gunmen involved in the exercise, and what more official reports are you receiving? So
at that time, they told me they were still investigating.
Right.
So then when they called, and then they said that, okay, they freed, now our brother is freed, and then he's been sent back to the family. I started asking questions, but then they said, okay, they were still doing the investigations, and that we should hold on. As and when they finalize everything, they will let us know. So for me, like I told you earlier, I'm happy that he's back home, he's free, he's now with his family. Whatever there is, later we will look at it and then take it as an opportunity to beef up security, take care of ourselves better. And then because I still tell Ghanaians that nobody can provide that security that you need better than yourself. The South African government will do their best, but you are your own security. So as you go about your duties, please watch your left, watch your right. I always say that this is what happened to me is an outlier. Right. I've been in South Africa as the High Commissioner over 2 years, 6 months, and this is the first time I've seen this brazen, attack, on worshippers, where people were robbed of their monies and their jewelries and whatnot. I believe that I've traveled a lot. My background as a former deputy foreign minister, I've visited a lot of countries, and then South Africa is not different. From some of the things, pockets of, criminality that you see across the globe. Yes, but then generally, South Africa is a beautiful country. Cape Town, to me, is the most beautiful city in the world. I've visited a lot of cities, and I can tell you, you were there.
Right.
And then I'm already preaching to the converted. Yes. Apart from that, the opportunities there for Ghanaians.
Yes.
That's why you have a lot of Ghanaians.
We'll talk about the visa regime which is taking effect today, but what's the caution to the Ghanaian community now? Because in your previous statement, you asked them to be cautious, when moving out these days.
Yeah, still, like I told you earlier, you need to take care of your own security. The South African government will do their best, but you need to take care of your own security. Wherever you go, you watch your left, you watch your right. And now, with the last conversation that I had with the leader of the church, of Pentecost in Johannesburg, he told me that now they're going to beef up security at the church. In Ghana, most of our churches do have security. In Ghana,
right?
Yes. If you visit most of the churches, they have security people stationed in front of the church and in front of the premises. And then as you enter, the main church hall. But South Africa.
So this was not the case. No, in this very attack. They had no security.
They had somebody, but then not something that you can say that a well-trained security person. But now they'll just beef up, and then it's also a wake-up call to all the other churches in South Africa that now these days, hitherto we thought that people could not enter the house of God and then do what they did. But then people are doing this, so we need to beef up security in those.
Well, this is also raising concerns, and I'm sure you've seen some of the comments on social media, questioning what exactly your team is doing there in South Africa to secure the interest of Ghanaians abroad. In this very case, do you take any responsibility? The fact that, as you're pointing to us, they were just released. You did not pay any ransom to get them released.
Yeah, so if you say we should take the responsibility, I don't know what responsibility you want the High Commission to take.
Right.
Because we don't provide law and order, that's done by the state police. Right. We can just augment that what the state police does. As I go around engaging the Ghanaian community, I've taught all the provinces in South Africa.
Right.
In everywhere that I've been, I've met the Ghanaian community. I've told them that we need to be each other's keeper. We need to provide security for ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves. And then I think that by and large, the Ghanaian community in South Africa have conducted themselves really, really well. I've been in South Africa over 2 years, 6 months. I've never had any report of a Ghanaian involved in any criminal act. Right. So I think that probably what we've been telling them is sinking, and then they are conducting themselves really well. But these things do happen. And then when they happen, we learn from them, and then we use that as a stepstone, to beef up our security.
It's good that you're in Ghana today. Are you meeting the leadership of the Church of Pentecost here? Is that part of the plan?
That's the plan.
Right.
And then I just got in, and then your people, the media, all over, they want interviews and all that. So once I'm done, you are going to be the last media organization that I'm having this interaction with. We've made some contacts. We'll meet them and tell them what we're also doing on our own. But by and large, I think that the matter is under investigation by the police, because now that they've secured the release of the victim, what about the robbery? So it's something that the police is seized with, and then they are working on.
And the issues of robbery has also been of concern to some of the Ghanaians living in South Africa that we spoke to. Have you conveyed that message to the South African government as well?
Oh, of course, there are some pockets. I would not say that it's something that is taking over, as a culture in South Africa. No, I wouldn't say that because I live there. And that generally the security is not bad. The government is doing its best, to provide security to the people. But sometimes you have some elements, some rogue elements, who would want to do these criminal activities. But then government is doing its best. We're also telling Ghanaians anytime we meet them that they need to, provide their own security. If I say provide their own security, it's not about them also having guns and what, but then take care of themselves really well. Don't go to where you are not expected to go. And it cuts across everywhere. Even in Ghana, there are some places that you cannot yourself. You cannot walk in the night and then expect to be to go scot-free. Just that you just manage yourself in such a way that you are not found wanting.
I see. The belief is this is overshadowing, what's happening today. The fact that Ghana has successfully secured an MOU with the South African government to run this reciprocal visa arrangement. This is now allowing Ghanaians to freely move into South Africa, and also South Africans moving in today. Don't you feel that this incident has overshadowed the beauty of what's happening today?
I totally disagree. Whatever happened is unfortunate. But then I think that the news last night, of the release of the victim has sort of served as an impetus to the operationalization of this visa waiver agreement that we signed with the South African government. We did a test run the last week, and then everything seemed perfect. So yesterday I posted on Twitter, and then I gave some numbers that if you should encounter any problem at the point of entry in South Africa, please do call these numbers. Yeah. This morning I've checked, and I've been told that it was very, very smoothly done. Right. All Ghanaians that arrived this morning in South Africa, without visa, because that's what the agreement is supposed to be. They were just ushered in. They had their own queue, right. A very fast queue. Whilst others that had visas, were in long queues. They just went through the processes and then they just exited. So I think that it's a good thing for trade, for business. That we do a lot of trade with South Africa. Most of these big companies here are South African companies. It's going to step up that, relationship that we have with them. People-to-people contact. Right. South Africans are desirous of spending Christmas in Ghana. Ghana is the hotbed for Christmas in Africa. And then this year, you're going to see an influx of South Africans here, to celebrate Christmas. This would sort of solidify or cement that already burgeoning relationship that we have with the South Africans. So I will not take it if somebody tells me that whatever happened, is going to mar.
Right. So by way of education, because a lot of people are watching, excited about the fact that, well, I'm just moving in free of charge into South Africa. What do they need to be mindful of as they, take advantage of this window?
Okay, so it's a 90-day visa waiver. That is cumulative. Right. Cumulative means that anytime you visit South Africa, it will be subtracted from the 90 days within a year. Right. So you have 90-day calendar year. If you decide to visit South Africa for 10 days, it will be subtracted from the 90. So now you are left with 80 days. Right. You visit again, you are left with whatever days that you decide to spend. If you should exhaust all the 90 days within the calendar year, and you still would want to visit South Africa, you need to go for a visa.
After the exhaustion of the 90 days.
You need to go for a fresh visa from the High Commission here in Accra. Right. You have two options. You can decide to do it one shot, visit South Africa and spend 90 days and then come home.
Or do it
thought by thought.
Mm-hmm. And even if you want to take all 90, it will not be possible this year because the 90 will not.
No, it's a calendar year.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, right. So it will not be possible for you to take advantage of the 90.
So that, and again, the validity of your passport, it shouldn't be less than 6 months.
Okay.
So if you know your passport is less than 6 months, please go and renew your passport. Right. Luckily, these days we have 10-year passports. Right. So go and renew. And then you can benefit.
Sounds really exciting. But what's the point of interest for our country? What do we stand to benefit, knowing that this agreement is coming into force?
Yeah, so you're going to have a lot of businesses from South Africa, who would want to come to Ghana and then forge partnerships, because that's what we want. Being in South Africa, I've met a lot of conglomerates, big. You've been there, big businesses. Who would want to visit Ghana. But sometimes they even complain about the visa regime. Yeah, so when they come, they issue visa, they would have to come. For business, they don't want these. Yeah. They just want to just pick their passport and because every day that you delay, it affects, productivity. So this is going to help. Again, for those of us who would want to visit, just go and then visit, it's also a very good opportunity for you. You don't have to. For the past 2 or 3 months, what happened? Ghanaians who wanted visas from the South African High Commission had to go there and all that. But now, we've eased the process. And then, so we are expecting that trade volumes between the two countries will increase as a result of this. We're also expecting that the people-to-people contact will also increase. And then once we do that, the opportunities that come out of it, it will be to the mutual benefit of these two countries.
And at the continental level, this has been lauded because it's giving further impetus to the African Union's protocol on the free movement of individuals. We've seen Kenya, for instance, express that willingness to, expand and taking all Africans by the end of the year. Do you feel that this is something Ghana should also be considering, expanding more, liberalizing, our regime more for more and more people to come through?
As we speak now, we have a lot of such arrangements with a lot of the African countries. I handle 5 countries: Seychelles, Lesotho, Mauritius, Eswatini, and then South Africa. All these 5 countries, you don't need visas to enter, if you're a Ghanaian. So that in itself is a plus. Now we've added Mozambique. Apart from Mozambique, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania.
South of the way, yes.
So there are a lot of these countries. ECOWAS is there. In all the 15 countries, you don't need visas to enter each other's country. So that arrangement is already in place. But then, like you're saying, it will be good for us. Free movement, we want to see a lot of such movement so that as an African, you don't have to get a visa and then you enter into your neighbor's country. Just because it helps, businesses. And that's what we all want to see happen. Because as businesses flourish, unemployment will reduce, a lot of opportunities will be created in these countries. And that's what we all want to see.
There are those on the other side as well who say we're opening up too much. We've allowed the Continental Free Trade Area headquarters to be here. We're allowing more and more people on the international scene to come into our system. Is there any negative side to this?
Of course, for any of such things, you need to be mindful that some rogue elements may take advantage. Now, look at what's happening in the Sahel region already. So you don't want to compound the situation. But that's why we have, like the Accra Initiative, for example. It's really working, where they share intelligence. So that if you are somebody who has been declared a persona non grata, you are not allowed to infiltrate. So I think that the benefits outweigh the negatives. So we should take advantage if it presents itself as a nation.
What will be your message to the Ghanaian community out there in South Africa and those living here in Ghana?
So I would always say that South Africa is a beautiful country. The opportunities in South Africa, if you ask Ghanaians who've been in South Africa, some have made it, but some are also struggling. That's life. People travel to the US, they travel to the UK, they travel to a lot of these countries hoping to make it. But then some do end up making it. Others also are not lucky. So we can't take South Africa out of this mix. Again, in terms of the security challenges, I agree that it's something that we should be mindful of as a people. So I'm urging Ghanaians that please be each other's keeper, look out for each other, and then let's stay safe in South Africa. I know that, like they say, home sweet home. But now we are out there trying to make a living, for ourselves and then our families back home. Let's try to be law-abiding. I was saying that there was an argument that we were raising when we were negotiating for this. We wanted to say that Ghanaians already in South Africa who had, those who had overstayed and then had no criminal record, we wanted them to be given some form of amnesty so that they can regularize their stay. That didn't work out this time. But then we are hopeful that when the review, when time for review comes up, we may have a second look at this. Because there are so many Ghanaians that I've met who are contributing to the economy of South Africa, doing really, really well, law-abiding, no criminal record and all. Why can't we give them an amnesty?
Indeed.
Yes, their only crime was to seek green opportunities. So I think that once we meet again for a review of this agreement, this is something that we may want to put across, for the South African side to have a look at.
And indeed, congratulations on this feat. We are looking forward to more vacations and also other activities in South Africa.
South Africa again. This time you will not run away.
Not at all. I will do that.
I'll host you.
And Charles Owiredu is the High Commissioner of Ghana in South Africa, joining us here on the